Hi folks, welcome back. Thank you for watching. Please do hit subscribe if you haven't done so yet. It really does help when you do that. So we're having a massive storm here in the UK today, folks. So if you can hear Scooby-Doo wind noise in the background, sorry, there's not much I can do about that. Anyway, today we are going to be looking at speakers, and specifically two low wattage speakers to pair with a low wattage Tweed amp. Now, the amp over my shoulder there is a Cornell Romany Plus, which Dennis still makes. I think it's called the Romany 12 nowadays, which has a slightly different EQ and power scaling setup on it, but it's fundamentally the same amp as this. And what this is kind of a beefed up Tweed champ circuit. So it's 10 watts rather than 5. This one has a 2-band EQ, but you can also defeat the EQ for that super honky middly Tweed champ thing. And this particular one, the Plus, has a 12-inch speaker. So to me, it's kind of a hybrid between a Tweed champ and a Tweed Deluxe, something like that. Now, when it comes to 12-inch speakers for old school Tweed amps, this one here is the one that's most synonymous with it. This is the Jensen P12R, an Alnico speaker rated at 25 watts. And this is just known as being the speaker for old school Fender Tweed circuits. They were used back in the day and they're largely still used now in really high-end boutique clones especially. But I've always preferred a slightly different voice in this amp, which is the good old-fashioned Celestion AlNico Blue. This one is 15 watts and it just has a different sound. Now, I've always loved the Tweed thing. I love the breakup of it. I love the feel of an old sort of low-powered Tweed amp, but I've always preferred the sound of the Celestion with it because it just changes the mids on the amp and just fills them out a little bit, to my ears at least. But in recent years, especially since getting my Dr. Z Master, I've started to get more into that scoopy American thing. So today I wanted to compare these two speakers to see exactly what differences and similarities there are running in this little Tweed circuit. Now, I'm going to use 3 different guitars at 3 levels of gain, clean, crunchy, and then defeat the EQ for that really sort of middly champ thing, and just see exactly how they behave. Now, I have changed the V1 tube in this amp to a lower gain tube. I can't remember exactly which one, probably like an AT7 or something. So it's not quite as gainy as a stock Romany. So I will throw a few gain pedals on just to really push it, see if we can get that low end flubbing out a bit and just get some heavier saturation going on. Now, one thing we're going to run into straight away today is the difference in sensitivity rating between these two speakers. Now, the Alnico Blue has a sensitivity rating of 100 dB. According to the Jensen website, the P12R has a sensitivity rating of 93.7. The real world effect of that being that the Jensen will sound much quieter here in the room than the Celestion. So I'll be honest, I've already shot the footage today. I'm shooting this intro after. The real world effect of that in terms of the metering in Pro Tools is that the Jensen speaker is about 3.5 dB quieter overall once the mics are balanced out in the computer. So what I'm going to do is, for the first minute or so of the demo, I will leave the levels completely untouched so you can hear just how much quieter the Jensen is compared to the Celestion, and then I'm going to normalise the levels. I'm going to boost the Jensen mics by 3.5 dB to bring them more in line with the Celestion, so we can compare the fundamental EQ and sonics of these two speakers without our ears being distracted by that level difference. I think that's probably the fairest way of doing it. So without further ado, folks, here we go. there we are, folks. Now, please do comment underneath and let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything you heard today. Which of those speakers was your favourite in that amp and why? I love hearing from you guys in the comment sections. Now, they are very, very different, aren't they? And to me, it shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, it's pretty obvious if you think about it, but the Celestion gives it a slightly more British sound. The Jensen gives it a slightly more American sound. The Jensen is a little bit more kind of happy face in its EQ, more lows, more highs, and slightly scooped mids. The Celestion, in comparison, is more rolled off in the top end, has slightly less low end, but a lot of mid, so it's kind of sad face EQ. But it definitely gives it a more British sound. And I think that's why I've always kind of liked the Blue in the Romany, because I've always been more of a British amp guy, and I like those kind of extra mids. But as I said in the intro, I've started to like the scoopy American thing a lot more nowadays. And I think that's why I'm leaning towards putting the Jensen in the Romany long term, because I like that kind of more relaxed mid-range that it gives me. Now, the difference in sensitivity rating is pretty substantial. As I said in the intro, I think I adjusted the mics on the Jensen by about 3.5 dB to bring them in line with the Celestion. And if you're wanting to gig with a small Tweed amp like this, those extra 3-4 dB will make the world of difference when you're competing with a drummer and a bassist and things like that. But when you're recording in a small room and you can adjust the mic gain, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. So those are just my views, folks. Let me know yours in the comments. I love hearing from you folks. But two wonderful speakers that both sound glorious in a small Tweed circuit. So thank you, folks. Please do carry on subscribing. I know I always say it, but it makes a huge difference when you do that. I hope this video was interesting and useful for you in some way, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.